Hey guys, Script Trooper here with another video, and there's apparently a bunch of leaks for the AHSOKA Season 2, and people are getting all worked up, and so I wanted to check these out and just see what we all think about them. It's probably going to be more funny than anything, because that's basically what it is now. It's fun to just pretty much just make fun of it at this point. I mean, it has been for a while, but let's check these out, and we'll talk about it.
They hit me up like Thursday or something, and they said, a really big fight was just filmed. A huge fight sequence was filmed on AHSOKA with Balen Skull.
I know.
And Anakin Skywalker.
Oh boy, guys, here we go. Didn't I tell you this was going to happen? It's so easy to predict. You go back, you look at my AHSOKA playlist. I talked about this so long ago that Balen's gonna go to stupid, whatever, the little light on the hill or mountain, and he's gonna go into this space that's kind of like, you know, where the Mortis gods were. I don't remember what stupid planet that was, whatever, in Clone Wars. And he's going to confront Anakin, who is the father. That's what's gonna happen, as I predicted. Now, some people would say, well, you're wrong, Script Trooper. It's actually gonna be him fighting Anakin in the world between worlds. Maybe.
I mean, look, the idea of Anakin fighting Balen, right? Like, there's a lot of inherent interesting things about this.
Anakin fighting Balen feels like one of the dumbest things ever. Like, it was bad enough when it was AHSOKA, right? All of it made no sense. She falls in the water. Basically, she's drowning, but somehow she's not. And Anakin seems to be being turned into a literal god right now, which is just, oh my gosh, what are they doing? This is so dumb. But yeah, Anakin fighting Balen, just, why would he waste his time if he's some god man? It's just, this is just so stupid.
Anakin did not really fight in AHSOKA Season 1. He technically fights against AHSOKA in the world between worlds.
Yeah,
but he never like manifests physically, right?
Right.
So one of two ways this is going. This is either going, Balen is in the world between worlds fighting against Anakin, right? Or Anakin is somehow fighting against Balen in the real world. Let's start there. Which one do you think it is?
Real world.
Now, I'm not saying that's 100% true, but I actually... because I don't know, right? And he alludes earlier, I didn't put it in, but that he knows some stuff. And I think that's where they're going to go. I don't think it's going to be World Between Worlds. I don't. I think they're going to make Anakin be able to manifest physically. Well, why wouldn't they? You know? But I mean, even actually, if you think about that, he doesn't even need to. Yoda came down as a Force ghost and rained lightning down. Luke is catching the lightsaber as a Force ghost, breaking all these rules that George Lucas set up pretty early on, you know, in Star Wars overall. So if they're willing to break those rules so flippantly and don't care and create those massive questions and plot holes where people are wondering why Yoda wouldn't have just rained lightning down on the Emperor as a Force ghost, you know, because you can't hit him. All those implications, right, that they've created, all these stupid questions that they've created with their stupid lore, or lack thereof. Why would I be surprised? Like, why would I think they just have it in the world between worlds? They want to do something bigger and crazier. And if Anakin is the father, which I predicted months and months and months ago, just like I predicted Rey being in Starfighter and all these other things that these guys are coming out with from their sources, you didn't need sources for this. This is so obvious. Then he would be able to manifest just like the father is in the Clone Wars. Right? And they've already screwed up with the sequels and sort of pulled Anakin away from being the chosen one because they couldn't think of a creative way to move forward without taking away from that and having Palpatine still alive and all this other stuff. So what they're going to try and do now is trick the audience into thinking that all of that didn't matter because Anakin became the father. And ultimately, I think that's what this was all about from the beginning with Dave. I think that's what this was all about. And Ahsoka, I think, ends up being the daughter as well. I really do. And I don't know if Balen's coming in to kind of spoil the party, or he's sort of representing the son, or whatever it is. But that seems to be what Dave wants to do, because Dave wants Ahsoka to be around forever, to be immortal. And based on what they did with the sequels, and even based on the Mortis God arc in the Clone Wars, which I know George was a part of, there is certainly indicators that they wanted this for Anakin as well. So it's like Anakin can live on forever. You can make Star Wars for the next 100 years with Anakin. Instead of just letting it be and making it cool, this is what they do. They just can't move off these characters and move on, right? And they certainly can't now that the sequels were so awful. So this is their only hope, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so too. So,
yeah.
Real world Force Ghost Anakin.
Yeah, but it's in like a place of where Balen goes, and Anakin has like evolved into sort of like the father figure.
Yeah,
and so he basically has is the word omnipotence?
Yes. Yeah.
Basically, he's like a god.
Mm-hmm.
And there are obviously rules that he has to, follow in terms of, what is allowed with the Force and what's not.
Are there rules, though? Are there rules anymore? You really think they're going to be worrying about rules? Heck no! Heck no! They've broken every rule in the book. They don't care about rules. It's all about just putting these characters in. It's not about the story anymore. Right? It's not about the story as much as it is using these characters in perpetuity, because these characters are a draw. In their minds. That's how they think, I believe. It's just, we gotta have him in there in perpetuity. It's Anakin. It's tied to Vader. This is the draw. This is where the money is. This is what we have to do. And so I don't think they're worried about rules. I mean, the whole thing is so stupid now that they're like... They've been breaking rules since The Force Awakens, guys. Like, the idea that they would adhere to any specific rule, they will just break the rule and either explain it very flippantly or just not explain it at all, and then just wait 5 years and you can just figure it out on your own, and maybe they'll figure out a way to explain it. But they'll do it without an explanation, as if they haven't done that before. My goodness, they do that all the time.
But he can essentially now, bro's not really dead.
Yeah. So,
and if you think about how silly this whole thing has become, right, with Anakin and all this stuff, how simple things really were, and they all had to put their little, poke their noses into all these different stories and put their stupid ideas into all these different stories, and have that story group where they crossed out Luke's face and had this huge picture of Padme in the background, and it was all about taking the attention off of Luke, right? Even Filoni saying he agreed with and endorsed the Last Jedi idea of diminishing Luke in favor of lifting up Leia or potentially Rey or some other female character. They were so obsessed with emphasizing the female character that they didn't do the most basic thing they needed to do. So now we're back to Anakin as a god, and he's fighting in this place, and he's able to pull Ahsoka out of a drowning situation and bring her to this other mystical place, which is really just time travel, and now they can do whatever they want. Which is another just stupid, convoluted idea. When they had the most simple task. Right, guys? As much as we all love Darth Vader as a character, wasn't it sort of the most simple task to just go back to Luke from the very beginning with the sequels? Go back to Luke, show him as a old, seasoned, just totally awesome Jedi Master. Do the reunion scene with Han and Leia, even if it's just one scene, because you do want to move on to new characters, but have at least one scene with them together. That was the task. Focus on Luke for a couple of movies. If he has to die, that's fine. Then you could go back and focus on Luke Jedi to that point. But they went all Anakin for some reason. I mean, I think Dave's a little older than me, so he should have been more OT oriented, but I guess just working on the Clone Wars with George and everything, everything is Anakin. They just can't let him go. But the answer for them wasn't more Anakin, I don't think. I think the answer for them was more and better Luke. And if they had gone down that road, which was so obvious, timeline-wise, everything else, we wouldn't be in this stupid position where Anakin's a literal god now. Like, guys, he was a mass murdering nut job. He slaughtered kids, everything. He did all this crap, and now because he threw the Emperor down a chute and saved his son, he gets to become a god now? Really? Do you guys think that's good? I don't know. I think that sucks.
Step back and just think about literally what we were talking about just 5 minutes ago with like Rey and the sequels and how bad they fucked everything up and how fucking mad we are. And then we get into this discussion, right? And we're talking about Filoni.
Yeah.
And he's literally cooking some crazy ass shit where the Chosen One has somehow attained a level of power that's going to allow him to have a physical fight against Balen.
Right.
And it's like one of these things is incredible. One of these things sucks doo-doo.
Do you guys think it's incredible that they just can't move on from Anakin? Like, they couldn't just have him just a normal Force ghost here and there popping up, talking to his mom maybe in the sequels? That was the most low-hanging fruit of all time. How did they not do that? How did they not do that? You know, when Yoda comes and speaks to Luke on Ahch-To, wouldn't it have been better if it was Anakin? Just as a Force ghost, not as raining lightning down, nothing like that, just giving his son advice. Wouldn't that have just been the best way to use him going forward? Why does it have to be lightsabers and fighting and nonsense? Why can't he be the wise guy who interacts with his family? This is incredible! No, it sucks just as bad as Rey being in Starfighter, in my opinion. Let me know in the comment section what you think. The other thing that's so stupid is, why would Anakin become this Force god in another galaxy that hardly anyone can get to? That you have to like go inside a space whale. Like, what? I'm going to become a Force god somewhere where I can't have much of an impact. I can only have an impact if a handful of people happen to get inside of a space whale and travel across the galaxy. Like, how does Dave not see how stupid that is? This is just... Ahsoka Season 2 is shaping up to be comedic genius.
My thoughts are, you can do that so long as you don't show them actually dying and fading away or becoming a Force ghost. Because once you do that, you completely eliminate the tension of life and death. Well, if you have immortality, who really cares? There's no actual fear of anything, right?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Like, rematerialize, like, well, where's the actual tension of it? Oh.
And Theory's right about that. That's a fact. And it's not only that there's no tension because he's immortal, like, who gives a crap? Like, this fight is pointless. It's also stupid in the sense that it takes away Anakin's death. Like he said, like, Anakin died. Like what? And haven't they done enough of bringing people back from the dead? Now we're bringing back this immortal guy who can, like, fight people in the flesh, and even if he can, he's like fighting Ahsoka in the world between worlds, and and it's like the impact is too great. It's too much. It makes death, like, Force Ghosts took it, in my opinion, probably maybe further even than they should have, but that's as far as you go. That you don't go any further than Force Ghosts talking to people, and even then showing up when they need it. This is really stupid and takes away all tension for life and death and makes life and death pretty dumb. He's right about that. But again, they're pushing these ideas further and further and further into the abyss rather than reining in. They're going further into the stupidity. And it's so funny to me because so many people thought that they would maybe go for a correction, maybe pull back, you know, maybe stop with the over-the-top nonsense and craziness and unexplained phenomena. No, we're going to go further. We're going to go into utter insanity. Death is totally meaningless. You know? And it started again with the Force Ghost being able to interact with the physical world. Now, I thought that was so insane and so lore-breaking. And now they're going to take it in even further. This is just... But I got, at least Theory, he slows down. I don't agree with everything about Theory. We all know that. But at least in this case, he slows down and says, wait a minute. And he's like the biggest Anakin fan ever. And even he's like, wait a minute, this is a little much. Like, this is pretty stupid. Theory likes it. Theory still has this hope in Dave jabroni for reasons I can't even fathom, whatever.
But Anakin coming back into the flesh or whatever, and even if he does it in the world between worlds, I don't know. I'm not a fan of World Between Worlds, I'll say that.
Sure.
I think it really also denounces the whole sort of romance of being alive. It's like, if there's no difference between life and death, or you can go through doors and save people or whatever, then what the fuck?
But I think there's also ways, and there's examples of incredible writers that have used a character's resurrection in a way that has become incredibly meaningful. So like Gandalf comes to mind, right? Like
sure.
Tolkien bringing Gandalf back feels a little cheap.
So Tolkien's a great writer, but Gandalf felt cheap? Okay. I don't really understand that, but okay, that kind of doesn't really jive, but the idea that we're going to compare Filoni and the story group to Tolkien and Gandalf and his writing, I don't think that's a good comparison.
The Gandalf thing in Lord of the Rings is a little different, and I want to see some arguments in the chat against this, because I could even play devil's advocate in my own mind, but I feel like magic is just so different than the Force. Like, there are rules in the Force that you die, you can die, right? But with magic, it's totally like, you can't see if a Jedi were to rematerialize Maul's legs, let's say, if they were to do that with, I don't know, Anakin's, like, imagine Anakin loses his hand and Yoda comes in and is just like bobbity boobity, and his hand just like
yeah.
But that's literally what they did with Maul, though. The witches and the doobity doobities and the green mist. I think Theory is starting to question even some of the Clone Wars stuff. I think he's getting to that point. He's not quite there yet. He's not where I'm at, but he's slowly getting there. Where he's realizing, like, yeah, magic in Star Wars is stupid. The Force is supposed to be more mysterious, and there's still very clear rules of life and death and all those things. Darth Maul coming back was stupid. Very stupid, and did involve stupid magic. I think the big problem is for him and for a lot of people is they don't tie this into things like the Clone Wars and the witches because they're scared to criticize George Lucas. Well, I'm not. I love George, appreciate everything he did, but that doesn't mean everything he did was perfect, and it doesn't mean everything he did resonates or makes sense. That sucked. The Night Sisters are stupid magic people. Now we've got more witches with more stupid magic. With Anastasia and the twins. So I get that people are scared to criticize George Lucas because they think they're going to alienate a certain amount of their following or their fans. But the reality of it is, he made some boners in the Clone Wars. Sorry, that's just the way it is.
Like with blue smoke instead of green or some shit.
Sure.
People are gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Magic, you have a bigger suspension of disbelief because you don't have to explain it. It's fucking magic. That's what it is. Okay, that's fine. But with a Force user, I mean, what you can't really do that.
We're really talking about is like a magic system. Yeah. And the truth is the system needs to be consistent. As long as there's logic and consistency to it, then that's fine enough for the reader to be able to make sense of it, right? But there are magic systems that essentially allow somewhat unlimited possibilities, but it's all about how do you use it in the story. You know what I mean? And so, like, I think that magic and the Force are different for sure. But to me, I've always thought of the Force as bigger than even maybe what the Jedi understand of it, right? And I think that Clone Wars and a lot of the stuff that Filoni and George did together sort of hints at this. I mean, you look at Mortis, Ahsoka gets brought back to life before any of these characters. Ahsoka dies on Mortis.
Okay, but again, that is a magical planet that nobody could find, nobody knew existed, no one could find again, with literal 3 gods.
Yeah, and they had the Mortis God Lord of the Rings statues in Ahsoka Season 1 in another galaxy, which makes no sense because they're far away from everything that matters and all the characters that matter. And so it's still the same thing that they did in Clone Wars. It's just now Anakin's the father. So it's just as stupid. You can't say that what they're going to do in Ahsoka Season 2 doesn't make sense theory or isn't going to work if they've pretty much already done that, right? Like, and the daughter brought Ahsoka back to life. So there's just no... So what you said earlier was there's no rules and there's no tension for death. Well, that happens in the Mortis arc. So, like, with Ahsoka. So I don't understand. Again, it goes back to these guys are so scared to criticize that arc, even though this is the same thing because George was involved. I don't know what is with this fear of just saying the truth.
Yeah, and what is Peridia though?
And there was a sacrifice.
There, of course, but what are you
She
saying
died
when
to
you
give
say all
life
of
to
that?
him.
You're just saying that it had a logic, it had a rationality to it. Within the magic system of the Force,
A little more, yeah.
there's room for that to occur, is what you're basically saying, right?
Not for regular mortals like Anakin, who was born a slave. Yes, is the chosen one. Yes, is made out of the
He's the
Force.
chosen one. I don't know that he's a regular mortal. That's a very good question. Is Anakin even a regular mortal?
That's a whole different discussion.
That's the thing, right? And this is why I like it. This is why I like what Dave is potentially doing in season 2. The reason I like it is because it begs these questions.
So then that basically means nothing mattered, though. Like, don't get me wrong. A lot of this stems from the Space Jesus thing that George made. Okay, fine. But if that's the case, that Anakin was always just going to be this immortal character because he was born out of the Force, I don't know how you wouldn't see how much that takes away from the OT. They already in the sequels made everything Han, Luke, and Leia, and Chewie, and R2, and C-3PO, and Lando, and everything that they did essentially was completely pointless with the sequels, right? Because the Empire was still around, it didn't accomplish anything, everything was the same, nobody moved on, and they didn't accomplish anything. So by making Anakin this being from the very beginning that never really had consequences for what he did, or that he was an actual man and was going to actually die, if there was never any consequences for that, the whole story of the first 6 movies becomes redundant, because it doesn't matter what happens to Anakin, he's just going to end up being some god that can have a physical altercation with Balen. So it just takes away the whole thing. I don't know how you wouldn't see that. I don't know how, if you think Dave's so wonderful, why wouldn't he see that?
Which is interesting. You know what I mean? It recontextualizes things. I mean, I think that's in a sense what he's doing in season 1 a little bit. I mean, how is Anakin even able to speak to Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds? You'd have to imagine he has ascended somewhat. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So an extension of that, I think, is greater purpose. You know?
So the greater purpose of saving Ahsoka from drowning and teaching her some really weird lesson. I remember reviewing that and being like, what was the point of this? She was already doing what Anakin told her to do, which was to fight. She was already there and ready to fight. And his lesson was, you got to fight. So it's like, so now we got to go further. He's got to have more of an impact. It's not enough for him to influence Jedi and characters in the World Between Worlds. Now we have to have an even bigger situation. He's even more than that. Really? Like, when does it end?
How is Balen able to fight against a god? What could be so serious that the chosen one has to manifest himself to fight against this guy.
Maybe he's trying to resurrect the son, and the son is Sam Witwer.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be fucking crazy. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Now I've heard Sam is the son, but I think that's probably like a flashback. I don't know that that's going to be in the current Peridia timeline, right? Like, because I think they're going to do a flashback to.
Listen, if you unleash one of those Mortis, if you unleash the sun onto the galaxy, at least now there's a threat that's not as pathetic as Snoke.
See how it's like, it's at least not this other crappy thing they did. You're almost there, Theory. You're almost there. You're hanging in there, but you're almost there. Well, at least it's not as bad as the other really bad thing that they did. It's stupid. I think it's dumb. But at least it's not as bad as the other dumb thing that they did. Like, what? And so Balen's trying to... That's probably true. Right? That's what I was saying earlier. He's probably trying to be the son. Star Wars is getting into gods now. Guys are becoming gods. Oh, man. As I've said, guys, a million times, it all starts with the Clone Wars. The nonsense, the over-the-top stupidity. Now the Force is these Mortis god guys or whatever. The Father's keeping the balance. All this nonsense. It all starts with the Mortis gods, or with Clone Wars, and so many things in Clone Wars that create problems. And I would like to hear from you. Like, do you find that interesting? Like, we're shifting from real world, mysterious Force, Star War, this, that, and the other thing, to now we're turning characters into gods, and characters are attempting to become gods, and they're doing all these things. And then furthermore, if the whole thing is that you've got the father and the daughter, Anakin and Ahsoka, why would Anakin need to prevent Balen from resurrecting the son? What difference does it make? The son was around for whoever knows how long. And then he made a mistake or whatever. And like, it's just, Clone Wars started so many stupid things, you guys. And here we are now. Here we are where Dave is going to bring this crap back in live action. Was Clone Wars like really, really popular? Let me know in the comment section. Like, do people really love it to the point where they want all this crap to be brought out into the future now?
Yeah, well, I think it would have to connect to Abeloth, right? Because essentially Abeloth, so the sun is the dark side is a natural thing, right?
No, that's what Disney wants people to believe, that balance is equal light and equal dark, and if there's a dark side user named Kylo Ren, then the Force is going to answer with a light side user, so therefore, if the light side wins and Rey won, then the Force is going to make a dark sider come out, which makes the entire Star War and the battle between good and evil completely pointless. It makes everything done before pointless. Again, I go back to it. This is the problem with the Clone Wars. This is the stuff they introduced. It makes everything pointless because neither side can ever really win. Don't you see? Maybe that's what Dave wants, right? World between worlds. Neither side can ever win, so we can just write dumb stories in perpetuity. No, the dark side is the twisting and manipulation of the Force. Balance is destroying the dark side. We get this very clearly in Revenge of the Sith. This is not negotiable. But then George lets them do Mortis. So it's like, it all starts with him and allowing this stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I know that hurts people's fifis, but that's the reality. And then Dave now is just taking it to just numbskull levels.
The light side, and then you have the dark side, and then you have this like fatherly figure that sort of keeps them in balance.
Right.
So the son is not bad. Like, he's bad, but he's not unnatural. It is fine that he is the dark side. He's kept in balance by the light and by the father. I think what Abeloth represents...
Those don't exist anymore.
Exactly. They shouldn't even exist anymore. They should have been left in the past. But Filoni can't help himself. He can't. It's the same way he's just putting all of his rebel characters into the Thrawn storyline. And he's putting in his whales, and he's putting in his other galaxy, He's putting in all this stuff because it's all about continuing his characters. They never die. It's all about continuing his stories. It's not about making sense. It's just about continuing what he did and trying to make it bigger than it was before by making Anakin the father, Ahsoka the daughter. Again, this is all very predictable because I've been around a lot of narcissists in my life. So this is why I predicted this stuff months ago.
It would be the lack of a daughter, it would be the lack of the father, and then it would be Abeloth and the son just allowing the dark side to consume everything.
Yep.
And if you think about what Balen said, and this is why like I always connected it to Abeloth kind of right away, is like in the first season he's talking about the fairy tales of Peridia, ancient stories the Jedi used to tell, and then he talks about how the cycle of light and dark is just never ending, and that he wants to go back all the way back and stop the cycle, like break the cycle.
See? It's never ending. Which makes the whole thing pointless. And now this random character in a TV show is going to try to break the cycle. The monotonous cycle of nothingness. Hey, Luke, Han, and Leia. You were all useless, pointless. Your lives meant nothing. Everything you did meant nothing. Because it's all about the balance between dark and light. I find it so funny that like so many young people can't understand, like they can't break the barrier of like, they take the Earth definition of balance and they can't be removed from that and accept the Star Wars version of balance, right? And that includes Dave, and he's like, I don't even know how old he is, but like, dude, it's so like base level, basic nonsensicalness. And then, yeah, like some random Balen guy is going to come in and, oh, it's just awful.
And if you think about what is he saying? He's saying, I don't like the ebb and flow of light and dark, the inevitable balance keeping that to us looks like the Star Wars, right? Like the Republic and then the Empire and blah, 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 blah. That's just maybe balance, cosmic balance on a scale. And he doesn't like that, and he's being called to probably Abeloth to destroy that and to have darkness consume everything. So there's no cycle, there's no more ebb and flow. There's a purity in that. So, yeah, all that sounds dope to me, dude.
I think Balen is either going to become the son, or he's trying to resurrect the son, and Anakin's like, hell no, you ain't doing shit.
Oh, this is just. That contradicts what he just said. Like, everything's so convoluted. So Anakin's going to block him from becoming the son, but I thought balance meant that Anakin was the father over the daughter and the son to balance everything, right? Because that's what balance is now. Oh, it's just so stupid, dude. It's going to be so dumb. It's going to be fun to make fun of, but
because like, you have to imagine, like, for him to fight against Anakin.
But but that doesn't really make sense, because it's like you'll just get dusted.
Well, would you though if you were channeling the power of Abeloth?
You're all the Jedi.
Well, this would be more like all of the darkness, or like pure evil, like pure.
That wouldn't matter though, right? Because if Abeloth was still, her essence or whatever was still alive, which I guess is technically in the book, well, she's in another galaxy. So, what does it have to do with anything? If her essence was still around back in the Dizzy on the regular galaxy, what's she doing all the way over here? Why wouldn't she have tried to lure somebody in the normal galaxy to come and if so, why didn't she do that sometime in the last 20 years or whatever? It's all stupid. None of it makes sense. It's just a more ruining and dumb and more questions.
Yeah,
maybe he would try and he would try and bring Abeloth out, and Anakin would be like, hell no.
Yes,
Abeloth starts like powering him up. I don't know. This is so convoluted now.
So here's the thing. So Abeloth is. So let's assume Abeloth is trapped. Right?
Yes.
Let's assume she's trapped there.
Yeah.
Okay, so like even if you say that Abeloth's essence was scattered around, and even if you say, it's part of some black hole or whatever, what's she doing all the way over here for this length of time? If her desire is to just destroy everything, blah, 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 why would this place in another galaxy be where she would be? That would be counterproductive. Like, if her essence could be brought back, wouldn't she want it to be brought back through somebody in the normal galaxy where it can actually have some ramifications, not this random planet in the middle of nowhere that Thrawn happened to be at? You see what I'm saying? Oh, so now we're saying that Thrawn just happened to be in this exact perfect place for Balen to go do his thing.
Because, like, a mortal can't really become a celestial, right? Like,
unless it's Anakin, but we can twist that by saying he was born of the Force, so that makes it okay. His death meant nothing. Everything they did meant nothing. Yay!
The spirit of the daughter goes into Ahsoka when she is brought back to life, right? So that, in a sense, she has like the god of, and that's why the Mori follows her around, right? So she has that.
Yeah.
How could Balen become the sun without the spirit of the sun like transferring into him or something? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I feel like Theory is at the point where he's just like entertaining this stuff. I think deep down, like he's keeping it pretty diplomatic, but I think deep down he sees just this is really dumb. Like, this is getting to the point of utter stupidity. He won't go as far as me and say that it's wrecking everything that came before it that George made, but and like I said earlier, part of it's George's fault, not all of it, but part of it is George's fault. But you can tell he thinks this is ridiculous.
This is just so cool, man. Like, that's just such a cool idea, and it gets my juices going.
Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments section what you think. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.